It's time once again for That Business Show with Jamie Maloney on 1250 Wins WHNZ, where business becomes show business. Now, live in studio and promoting the entrepreneurial spirit that drives the American economy, your host, Jamie Maloney.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday, and thanks for tuning in yet again to That Business Show with Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business. Again, weekday mornings at 8 a.m. here on 1250 WHNZ, a business variety show. A little something different each morning as I talk to many different professionals, political and community leaders, about what they're doing with their business and what they're doing in and around the Tampa Bay and surrounding communities. So it's a show with a positive message, hopefully inspirational to some of the people out there that may be on the fence about starting their own business or stepping outside of the box and doing something that they love. So that's what this show is all about. It's just about talking to people, hearing their stories, and also learning about their profession as well. So it's a great story, very inspirational to myself, very motivating to me. I love doing this each and every morning. The show's been on since back in February 2nd. We've been doing this show. Actually, I go back all the way to September 2013, though, doing the real estate show. So I'm actually at my 2-year point doing the radio. So having a lot of fun with that, and just very inspiring to be able to talk to many different professionals each and every morning. So I invite you to please tune in each morning at 8 a.m. and listen to what's going on in the Tampa Bay community here on That Business Show. As always, I invite you over to my website, tampabayradio.com. Over there, all shows available on demand. And also you can see all the guests that have been on the show via the Guest Network tab on the homepage. And also please help support the show sponsors by visiting the Preferred Providers page on the homepage of Tampa Bay Radio and helping them out and letting them know that you are using their services, because they're helping support the That Business Show each and every morning here on WHNZ. Also on the website, you'll see that I sell real estate. I am a realtor with a Coldwell Banker, been in business over 8 years, top producing bank-owned property sales specialist. So on the site, you can see all of my property listings as well as all the area real estate listings, and there's all of my pre-listed properties prior to hitting the market also via the pre-list properties tab. So please consider Tampa Bay Radio both a resource for the show as well as real estate in the Tampa Bay market. And to all the home sellers out there, as always, free home valuation. Just click on the Sell Your Home link on the homepage of Tampa Bay Radio, and we'll get you over a free home valuation within 24 to 48 business hours. As always, a great show planned for you today. On the second part of the show, we'll be talking with Matt DiGennaro. He is a registered investment advisor, which differs from the traditional financial advisors, and he is the founder and owner of Seabridge Wealth Management. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be a great discussion about investments and advice on financial planning and things of that nature. But up first, Jane Rakestraw is the CEO of Fun at Kona Ice and opened her business in 2013. Jane is continuing Kona Ice's tradition of donating thousands of dollars each year to local school groups, teams, and community organizations. As she books events with these groups, she pledges to give back a percentage of the proceeds from each stop. Nationwide, Kona Ice has donated more than $27 million to community-based organizations since the launch in June of 2007. Jane, welcome to the program today.
Good morning, Jamie. Thank you for having me on.
So first off, tell me a little bit more about what Kona Ice is.
Kona Ice is a very cool tropical shaved ice truck. We have a patented flavor wave on the truck, which makes it interactive. So when the customer receives their cup of light and fluffy shaved ice, they get to choose their own flavors. Okay. And the kids love that when we go into the schools, and the adults love it because they turn into kids when they're at the flavor wave.
So this is a mobile truck that travels from event to event, from school to school, or what type of outlets does it cater to specifically?
The way I run my business is I'm mainly event-based, where schools or PTAs have us come out to events at the schools, or youth sports leagues ask us to come out to be a fundraising vehicle for their organization. And we sell the shaved ice to the students or the players, and then we donate 1% of the proceeds back to the organization.
Okay, I can remember, growing up and going to all the ball games, and still going to the ball games, the traditional shaved ice that you would get, from the events. And you said this is a different type of product. Tell me about how it differs a little bit from, the traditional shaved ice products that we find on the market.
Well, first of all, it's served from a $100,000 truck. It looks really, really cool. Our drivers are professional, and the truck plays upbeat tropical music. It's got some really cool lights. The graphics on the truck are awesome. Mm-hmm. We're all background checked, so we are able to go into the schools and serve there.
And now this is also a franchise, right, that you got involved in 2013, correct?
It was actually 2011.
2011,
yeah, I got
okay.
my first truck in April of 2011. It is a franchise. There's over, I believe, 600 trucks on the road throughout the country right now, and we are also in, I believe, 2 different countries.
Okay. And so what drew you into Kona Ice? What was it about this franchise that, made you step outside the box and say, I'm going to do this?
Well, I was at a point in my life where my youngest daughter had turned 16 and got her own wheels, so I was no longer having to be driving her around, so I had more freedom than normal, and I was looking at either a business to buy or a franchise to purchase. And I didn't really want to start something from the ground up. I wanted some sort of support or a structure that was already there that I could just improve. So I researched for months and months and months, and occasionally Kona Ice would pop up. It's not on all the traditional types of franchise pages because they have one broker that they work with. And they're very selective. They monitor their growth. They want to expand at a rate that they can service their franchisees well. So it would pop up every now and then, and I was looking at that franchise, and I was also looking at another franchise as well. And as we were talking a little bit before the show, I'm an RVer, travel trailers, RVs, love that camping.
Yeah, I've never heard anybody refer to it like that. They're an RVer and stuff. So you like to be in the traveling the world or travel the country, I should say, and seeing but of course now you're running Kona Ice here. Are you able to do both or what?
Well, it's just goes right hand in hand with traveling. It's a mobile vehicle rather than being locked into a retail lease, which I was a little concerned about because when I started, the market was just starting to come back. So, I'm like, if I pick a bad location for the other franchise that I was looking at, I'd be kind of locked in, and figured if I'm mobile, if I don't like where I'm at, I'll just turn the key and go
There's definitely a
someplace else.
community, though, of RVers. I didn't hear, expressed like that before. But when I got into real estate, my mentor was a woman by the name of Amanda Huggins, and she was a top producing real estate broker. And I worked under her for 2 years, and she was a young, hippie-minded type of lady. She wasn't a professional type of businesswoman. She fell into the property-owned or bank-owned property sales business kind of by accident as an assistant for somebody else, but she grew it to enormous proportions, of which I was very fortunate to, be a part of and take over after she left. But she came to me in 2009, and she bought an RV, and she said, I'm done with this. She had gotten tired of the regulation, the financial crisis of 2008, Dodd-Frank coming onto the market, and things like that. It was introducing so much regulation. It was driving her crazy, selling these bank-owned properties. And she bought an RV, and she left. She literally left 2 weeks after that. And our broker tried to say, what are you thinking about? You're a top producing real estate broker making hundreds of thousands of dollars each year, and you want to go and give it all up and drive an RV across the country. And she did. And she never came back. That was like 6 years ago now.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Good for her.
And last time I talked to her was about a year and a half ago, and she was up in Washington State working at a convenience store, living with some of her girlfriends, and loved it.
Oh,
so why don't you come back? I said, I've grown the business tremendously since you left. Why don't you come back and work with me? She said, no, I want nothing to do with that. She said, I'm done. I love my life now. I just have my RV, and I'm just free and just a free spirit. And it's a great story. I've shared that story a number of times on here and everything, but when you said RVer, popped into my head and stuff. So, but
it's definitely lifestyle.
Yeah.
The other reasons I got into the business too. I mean, it was a franchise, and there was a system in place, which is always great. Better success rate. The product cost is, the cost of goods sold is the profit margin. Let's say the profit margin is really high on the product, so that was good. Gives back to the community. I was a PTA mom and that sort of thing, so working with the schools and the PTA moms was kind of
I was going to ask you to elaborate on that, how Kona Ice gives back to the community, and how you, as a franchisee owner there, gives back to the community. So what is their commitment to the community with this organization?
Each franchise runs it differently. The way I run my business is when we go into a school or youth sports league or a nonprofit organization and they want us to come to an event, we sell the shaved ice. And, our price points are great. They're $3 to $5, so everybody can afford one. And then we donate typically 20% of the sales back to the organization. And I've donated back over $125,000 to the Tampa Bay community since I started in 2011. And the number just keeps going up every year.
That's incredible. $125,000 that would otherwise be profit to you, correct? I mean, that's your money right out of your pocket that you're giving back. I mean, that's a heck of a commitment. I mean, I don't know how many people out there can say that, on a startup business. I mean, how are you making the numbers work? Everybody just struggles with starting their business, and here you are giving back $125,000.
Well, yeah, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, literally, all three, very literally, a lot of hard work. Like any business, it's, the first few years were really tough. Now, I'm getting the equipment paid off. The cash flow is better. Profit margin's higher. I'm looking at about a 28 to 30% increase this year over last year so far.
Now, how many trucks do you own, or is it one truck? Did you take to different events? How does that work?
I started with one truck,
okay,
and then 6 months later, I purchased the Kona Entertainment Trailer, which looks just like the truck except you tow it. And then about a year later, I purchased another truck, and what we call the Mini. And if you remember the movie Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, this is Honey, I Shrunk the Truck.
Okay.
The Mini looks just like the truck, except it's 30 inches wide and about 4 feet long, and it's made to go inside a 30-inch door so we can take it into office buildings. I think they originally made that for the folks up north that have franchises so they can go inside the schools in the wintertime. Since it's too cold for the kids in 32-degree weather to come out for the Konas.
So I guess you've built up a pretty good demand then. So the orders come in for the different events. Hey, can you come here? Can you come here? So you got the business flowing now then, correct?
Yeah, the business is flowing. Like I said, it was a lot of hard work, but I'd say 95% of my business is repeat business. And it's such an easy fundraiser. I mean, it's just a phone call. Can you come out? Yes, we don't require any electric, power, or volunteers. We show up. It takes us about 30 seconds to set up. And the kids love it. We pull up to a daycare or a preschool, and the kids are hanging on the fence going, Kona Ice, Kona Ice.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how do you
star.
handle the water and electric? I mean, it's all self-contained within the truck?
It is self-contained. There's I believe it's a 30-gallon freshwater tank, and then there's a gray tank to catch the wastewater. We're inspected by the Department of Agriculture.
So what other events do you have coming up? Do you do events every single day now? Is it a weekly stuff? I mean, talk to me about some of the events that you have coming up also.
We're pretty booked every day. We do, a lot of times during the day we're at schools. In the evenings we're at some kind of youth sports practice, now we're into football season, and then, soccer and then Little League.
So what do you do during the summer when the schools are out? What keeps you busy during the summer months?
We do a lot of corporate events in the summer. Companies hire us to come out to treat the employees. So they're out there all dancing to the tropical music,
right.
Having a good time, thinking they're pina colada, Kona Ices, have a little rum in them.
Yeah, but it's all virgin drinks, though, right?
They are.
Yeah, no rum in any of the stuff out there, right?
No, but boy, have I been asked for the truck with the rum.
I'm sure there's somebody out there carrying a little something in there, in their breast pocket or something, a little something in it. But
yeah, so we do a lot of corporate events in the summer, and then a lot of routes with daycares and summer camps.
Yeah, well, great discussion. Got to take a break, but Jane Rakestraw, CEO of Kona Ice here in the Tampa Bay region. Thank you very much for being on the program today.
Thank you, Jamie.
And again, Jane Rakestraw, CEO, Kona Ice. Learn more about her and the organization, Kona-ice.com. Coming back from the break, I'm going to talk with Matt DiGennaro, founder and CEO of Seabridge Wealth Management, on That Business Show with Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business. Have you considered a reverse mortgage as part of your retirement financial plan? For homeowners age 62 or older, a reverse mortgage from Access Reverse Mortgage is a safe, economical way to turn your home's equity into cash or monthly income. Access Reverse Mortgage is a family-owned company based right here in the Tampa Bay area for the past 10 years. They are A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau and Florida's leading reverse mortgage provider. Call 727-347-0305 or go to accessreverse.com to start your research today. NMLS number 4566. That's 727-347-0305.
Are you looking for a local real estate firm that knows the market and has your interests in mind? Then contact Jim McPeak at McPeak Real Estate Firm, a family-owned business whose agents have over 60-plus years of experience in the Tampa Bay market. Many of the agents are military veterans that know the VA process for buying a home and are proud to help our military members in any way they can. From residential to commercial real estate, McPeak Real Estate Firm is here to help. Contact Jim at 813-495-3875 and learn more at McPeakTeam.com.
Help promote the entrepreneurial spirit that drives the American economy. Tune in weekdays at 8 a.m. on 1250 WINS WHNZ to That Business Show with Jamie Maloney, where he promotes what is right with our community and highlights the successes of our entrepreneurs. Show contributor openings also available. You can learn more about the show and how to become part of this growing network at TampaBayRadio.com. Tune in weekdays at 8 a.m. to That Business Show with Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business.
Tampa Bay weather is a roof killer. That's why when getting your roof done, you want it done right. Hi, I'm Jamie Maloney of That Business Show. When considering a new roof or repair, talk to Westfall Roofing. They've been installing high-quality roofs in Tampa Bay for over 25 years. Get a free, no-obligation estimate by calling 855-99-ROOFING. That's 855-99-ROOFING. Find out what already 15,000 satisfied customers already know. Call now, 855-99-ROOFING.
Are you in need of new flooring or ready to tackle that home remodeling project? Then contact Yeager & Company Incorporated, a family-owned, state-certified general contracting business with over 70 years of experience and the recipient of the Angie's List Super Service Award for the last 8 years in multiple categories. Yeager & Company comes to you with their shop-at-home flooring sales service, and their hardwood flooring refinishing is the very best in the Bay. Kitchen and bath design featuring American-made, well-born cabinets, and all work is done by employees, not subcontractors. Learn more at YeagerFlooring.com.
From the Bright House Networks Traffic Center.
Very slow traffic in the Hudson area along southbound US 19 before Arapika to around Little Road. Some emergency construction going on there, and a couple lanes are blocked. Also in Pinellas County, southbound US 19 at Curlew, crash there, blocking a lane or two. Over in Hillsborough County, still have those delays on the westbound side of the Selma crosstown between 75 and 301. And southbound 275, very slow from Beers to around Hillsborough Avenue. See traffic problems, call the injury firm of Abraham Son and New York Hillsborough Traffic Tip Line at 866-545-9595.
This report is brought to you by the Exergen Temporal Scanner Thermometer. The Exergen Temporal Scanner Thermometer is the top choice of doctors, nurses, and other health professionals nationwide. Now, it can be your choice too. The Exergen Temporal Scanner Thermometer. Get yours at your local club warehouse and other fine retailers today.
Today, partly cloudy with a 20% chance of showers and storms, high 91. Tonight, partly cloudy, low 78. Tomorrow, a 40% rain chance, high 90.
You're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Maloney on 1250 Wins WHNZ. Once again, here's your host, Jamie Maloney.
Welcome back to the show, everybody, and thanks for staying tuned in to That Business Show with Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business. Again, weekday mornings at 8 a.m. here on 1250 WHNZ, a business variety show. A little something different each and every morning as I talk to different business owners, entrepreneurs, political and community leaders about their businesses and what they're doing in Tampa Bay to make a difference. As always, I invite you to my website, tampabayradio.com. Over there, all shows available on demand, and also you can peruse all the local real estate market listings at the site as well. And also, please connect with me on all the different social media sites. You'll find me all over social media, facebook.com/That Business Show, and Twitter under Jamie_Maloney, just to name a couple of the locations. Time to bring on my next guest for the show. Matt DiGennaro founded Seabridge Wealth Management in 2011, and prior to that spent over 25 years on Wall Street in the securities and asset management business. Matt has considerable global asset management experience, having lived and worked in the financial district of London and conducted business in over 45 countries. Matt, welcome to the program today.
Thanks, Jamie. Appreciate that.
So, Matt, that's quite an impressive background of financial experience there. Tell me a little bit more about this.
Well, it's been an interesting career over 25 years. Started out as a bond trader early on in the early 90s, and kind of worked my way through the system, and ultimately ran Bank of America's Global Asset Management Division out of London. We managed about $40 billion for a lot of the world's sovereign wealth funds, central banks, multinational corporations.
Okay. And today you're a registered investment advisor, correct? Right. And that differs from the traditional financial planners or financial advisors that we hear so much about, correct?
Yeah. I mean, typically generally there's a lot of confusion out there between what folks are called. Some are called financial consultants, financial advisors, wealth consultants, wealth advisors. Yeah.
So clarify, what is an investment advisor then?
Well, it's really it's what isn't an investment advisor. Registered investment advisors are just that. They're registered by either the state or the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission. Okay. And essentially they're fiduciaries. They're legal fiduciaries, which are required to do certain things. The typical brokers or financial advisors, they're registered under FINRA. That's a different regulatory body. It's a different set of rules in terms of how they deliver products and services to the public. Okay.
So why did you get out of, you obviously had a great position there with Bank of America, on this huge global market, and what drew you out of that into, a private business now?
Well, there were several things toward the end of my career. At the time I was living in London in 2008, when the world kind of fell apart, the market melted down. And the company had asked me to come to Manhattan to be one of the transition executives putting Bank of America and Merrill Lynch together.
So you were still at Bank of America during the 2008.
Right, I was there. Correct? Yeah, right. Yeah. I was there for 15 years since really 1995 to 2010. So we went through all that, and I was in London at the time. And as part of the transition team, putting two large companies together, you kind of get, this old, you never want to see laws and sausages made, right? Well, there's a third thing. You don't want to see corporate mergers made from the inside. It's pretty eye-opening.
Right.
So just kind of getting the whole sense of how the whole industry worked at that level was very eye-opening. And ultimately, to be quite candid, I didn't really like what I saw. And I wanted to go out and, instead of being part of what I consider to be part of the problem, wanted to be part of the solution.
Right. Take me back a little bit to 2008. You were a financial insider then with your position at Bank of America. What was it like from your perspective? Of course, all the consumers saw just the news headlines and things of that nature, but what were you seeing internally going on with these banks as they were jockeying for position, mergers, acquisitions, a lot of talk about that. What were you seeing on the inside?
Well, I didn't have any insider information per se, but being at the level I was at the company, it was interesting to hear both the executives of the company talk about what was going on versus, more importantly, what the clients were having to deal with, because this was totally out of their control, right? They had this whole financial meltdown, mostly caused by the mortgage-backed security business that they were, quite frankly, unaware of, and they didn't really understand it because it's very, very complicated. So they really weren't understanding why the market was doing what it was doing, because they couldn't really point their finger to any one thing.
Right.
The media, of course, was pretty much blaming Wall Street, as they typically do with everything. And by the way, Wall Street had a lot to do with this, but it was this massive amount of disinformation. So what we were seeing internally and externally was really around the same thing. A lot of mis and disinformation, and we were trying to manage and handle that as best as we could. And, as we like to say, that was a kind of a black swan event. Probably never happen again in our lifetime, but it was a great learning experience. Was that the catalyst of what began to push you out of the that side of the business into your own private practice and you made the move in 2011, correct? Yeah, that's right. It was. I finally came to the conclusion that, it's been a great career. As you mentioned, I've done business in over 45 countries. I've been to over 75 countries. So it's been a great experience traveling around the world. And much of that, from a business capacity. But in doing so, you tend to learn everything, the good, the bad, and the indifferent. And over a course of 25 years, I felt that there was a better way, right? I felt that the current state of the way products and services were delivered to investors could be improved, significantly improved. Okay, so now you're the founder and CEO of Seabridge Wealth Management. People can learn more about your organization, or your company, I should say, at seabridge.net. So who does Seabridge Wealth Management cater to? Who are your clients? Who are your ideal clients? Well, that's an interesting question. When we first started out in June of 2011, we started out pretty much with high net worth investors and foundations and such. And then grow the business over those few years, first few years. And then, interestingly enough, about a year and a half ago, we had the opportunity to look at a friend's 401k plan, right, where they thought that they weren't sure what was going on, but with the markets doing so well, they couldn't understand why their 401k balances weren't going up, at least a little bit. So that caused us to dive into that whole product and create sort of a market-leading new product that addressed the needs for corporate 401k plans. So we've really kind of gravitated a lot toward the 401k plans, but we still do high net worth and foundation business as well. Okay, so describe to me briefly what it has become today. I mean, how much assets do you have under management, employees? What's the reach of the or the company? Tell me a little bit about the company as it exists today. Well, we're small. We're a boutique, as my wife Valerie likes to say. We're small but mighty. If you looked at our the bios and resumes of the folks that we have on our team, and there's only five folks, right? We've got some pretty impressive talent. I started the company with Dr. Vikram Kirian, who I worked with at Bank of America. He's a PhD from Harvard and applied mathematics and MIT undergrad. And we're fortunate to have folks like Doug Case, who's our chief investment officer, who I went to business school with many, many, many years ago, back in the late 80s, who's a brilliant quantitative investment officer, applying rules that typically don't get applied to investment management we're thrilled to have him, and we've got Andy Mullins, who used to be the CFO for Raymond James.
Good discussion. Got to take a bottom of the hour break, but I'm currently talking with, again, Matt DiGennaro, founder and CEO of Seabridge Wealth Management. So stay tuned. Coming back from the break, we're going to delve into a lot more about financial planning and what you need to know. And you're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business.
Hi, welcome to Yeager's. We just want to take a minute and show you what we're all about. At Yeager's, our primary business is hardwood flooring, although we are remodelers for kitchen, bath, and general construction. We operate a fleet of shop-at-home vans that have all the flooring-type products, hardwood flooring, laminate flooring, tiles, stone, what have you. So we're able to come out first with products in our vehicles and take a look at the setting, how the colors will work, and then to be able to come up with some options and ideas for you. If that's not good enough, we have a large distribution center that we inventory product and have a nice display area.
Will show you how to be a financial ninja, teaching you the secret consumer tips the banks and credit cards don't want you to know. Listen today at 1 p.m. and be enlightened.
From the Bright House Networks Traffic Center.
Very slow traffic in Hudson along southbound US 19 due to emergency road construction at Little Road. The right and center lanes are blocked there. Farther to the south, there was a crash at Curlew in US 19. That now out of your way. Over in Tampa, still some slow traffic off the Howard Franklin Bridge. And also through downtown Tampa on southbound 275. See traffic problems, call the injury firm of Abrahamson and Utica Hillsborough Traffic Tip Line, 866-545-9595.
Winds, weather, center forecast, high temperatures today into the low 90s. Should see lots of sunshine, mostly sunny skies. Very slight chance for some showers today, about 20%. Isolated shower possible in the evening and the low tonight, upper 70s. Impact Radio, 1250 Winds, WHNZ.
You're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Maloney on 1250 Winds WHNZ. Once again, here's your host, Jamie Maloney.
Welcome back to the program, everybody. You're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business. Again, you'll find this show on here weekday mornings at 8 a.m. on 1250 WHNZ. And I invite you to tune in each and every morning as I talk to different business owners, professionals, political and community leaders about what they're doing in Tampa Bay to make a difference. Also, all shows are streamed here live in studio, so you can see the video in addition to the audio if you're in the office and can't get to a radio. So you can watch us here live in the studio each and every morning. There is a live stream button on the homepage at tampabayradio.com, and also we then put up the videos over there on my YouTube channel as well. So please subscribe to the YouTube channel and keep up to date with all the different guests that have been on the show. And as always, the show is always looking for guests and show partners. Feel free to contact me. A lot of people do, and tell me about what they're doing in the community, why they'd like to get a segment on the show and talk to the listeners about what they are doing in the Tampa Bay region. Again, best way to get me is through my contact form over at tampabayradio.com. I currently talk with Matt DiGennaro, founder and CEO of Seabridge Wealth Management. Learn more about him and his company at seabridge.net. And Matt, you mentioned a few times in that last discussion, I think we need to clarify it for the listeners, the word of fiduciary. So I assumed, just naturally that everybody knows what a fiduciary is, but a lot of people don't. So first off, describe what a fiduciary is.
The best way to really put it is in terms of how the law looks at it. A fiduciary by law is really the highest standard of care for any particular service. For example, say our attorney, our corporate attorney is a very good attorney by the name of Gil Lazenby, And when we reach out to Gil for services and we pay him, Gil is going to give us his very best advice, right? We'll pay him a fee, and he's going to be a fiduciary where he will act in our best interests. So Gil's advice to us is not predicated upon how much we pay him. So he doesn't kind of give us sort of good advice if we pay him more or less. He's going to give us his very best advice because he's looking out for our best interests. It's the same practice in the investment management area. When you hire a fiduciary as advisor, he or she must put your very best interests first, ahead of any revenue that accrues to the firm. They must disclose all conflicts of interest up front and in writing. They must disclose all fees. They must disclose any material facts, again, all up front and in writing. That is the major difference between a fiduciary advisor like an RIA and the brokerage industry, which is really predicated upon sales and distribution. They don't have the same standard of care that the registered investment advisors bring to the table. That's why it's so confusing.
Yeah, I was going to ask, so tell me the difference then between a broker versus a registered investment advisor, which is what you are, right, from a fiduciary standpoint. So the brokers that people may be dealing with in the traditional sense do not have that fiduciary capacity, correct?
No, they don't. Typically, they don't. Again, the brokerage industry is really, when you look at it, it's a manufacturer distribution model. Wall Street creates the products, whether they're mortgage securities or mutual funds or what have you, and then they're distributed into the marketplace by brokers, right? All the major brokerage firms, and we all know who they are. And their model is one of distribution. So their standard of care is not that of a fiduciary. They're not required by law to do what's in your very best interest. Not to say that they don't, but they're just not required by law to do so. So an RIA, on the other hand, we are required to do what's right or what is in the client's very best interest from day one. So it's a very subtle but a very important difference between what brokers or financial advisors or whatever they're called, what they do versus what an RIA does from a standard of care and a regulatory perspective.
So is it safe to say a fiduciary then is kind of supposed to step into your shoes and act as if they were making those decisions for themselves? And is that kind of safe to say a fiduciary is should be thinking that they're stepping into the shoes of their principal?
Put it this way. A fiduciary, anyone, whether it's an attorney, an investment advisor, what have you, they're sitting on the same side of the table as you. So that person is always going to give you the advice based on what's in your best interest. So yes, whether you're in their shoes or you're on the same side of the table, there is no conflict. There is no monetary conflict. Matter of fact, when I lived in London for a few years, England and Australia have outlawed any sale of financial products for commission. You cannot sell a financial product in England and in Australia for a commission. You can only work for a fee. Wow. They realize that commissions tend to drive behavior that are not necessarily in the best interest of their investors.
Is that also in real estate too, or is that strictly financial products such as stocks and bonds, or do you know? I'm just
gosh, I don't. That's a great question. My sense is it's probably similar, but I don't know.
Is there a movement towards that? I mean, with Dodd-Frank and all these different regulations coming down, we've been hearing about this in the news a lot. Tell me about how the industry has recently been changing regarding fiduciaries.
That's a great question. And in fact, in February of this year, the President of the United States and the Secretary of Labor, Tom Perez, announced a new fiduciary standard for all brokers and advisors who advise retirement plans and IRAs, if you have an IRA. And they did it on a day that Lockheed Martin was fined $62 million for not acting in the best interest of its plan participants. Mm-hmm. So this new fiduciary standard has been getting a lot of press and a lot of air in the last 3, 4, 5 months. So we invited the secretary to come down to Tampa Bay 2 or 3 months ago and chair a CEO roundtable around why this fiduciary standard is so important. And we gathered in the St. Pete Yacht Club in downtown St. Pete and had some of the area's leading business leaders around a table and heard from the secretary himself why this is so important to engage a fiduciary when you're talking about, in this case, 401k plans and IRAs, as opposed to alternative models.
Now, talk to me about licensing. Does registered investment advisors, do they carry the same licenses? Are they required to carry the same types of licensing that a traditional broker would have in the financial planning industry? And also tell me about the licensing that you and your firm has.
Well, for most of my career, I had the typical licenses: the Series 7, the 65, the 24. But in our space, the most important license is the Series 60. Is the Series 65. That is the only license from the government that you technically need to be a registered investment advisor. That is the difference. It's really the difference between those who have the Series 7, which is the general securities representative, the brokers, and then the Series 65, which are
But is there a
RIAs.
way that regulators distinguish between brokers and registered investment advisors, or is there really just kind of a distinguishing? Is it only because you're a fiduciary that distinguishes the two? Would you say?
Well, what distinguishes the difference is really the law, right? So it's not the regulators that distinguish it; it's the law. So under the current law, under FINRA, where brokers are registered, there is that certain standard of care, standard of suitability. For registered investment advisors, under the Investment Advisory Act of 1940, that lays out very clearly how registered investment advisors must act. So it's the law that determines the differences, not the regulators.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about your practice then. Again, so what products and services does Seabridge Wealth Management offer? Where you cater to high net worth individuals, but what are you helping them with specifically?
Well, if Doug and Vikram were sitting here, our investment officers, if they were sitting here, they'd say, well, our strategy is very, very simple. We're not stock pickers. We don't time the market. We don't predict anything because we have looked at the data over the last 50, 60 years from independent and objective sources, from academics and statisticians and Nobel laureates, and the data is very, very clear. Those who try to outperform the market will lose 80, 85, 90% of the time net of fees. And it's this constant chasing of these managers who are supposedly in these mutual funds that supposedly will out-return the market, that this mythical chase for those outperforming managers that is typically what leads investors to not do as well in the markets, because these managers cannot simply outperform the market net of fees consistently.
You hear so much in advertisements that consumers are paying excessive fees inside their portfolios. I myself don't know what excessive fees are inside my portfolio. I don't know if I'm paying excessive fees. How does a consumer know how to analyze these portfolios effectively?
You don't, and I don't say that to be flip. It's exceedingly difficult for the average investor to understand what they're paying. You have to know what you're looking for, where to go find the information, and how to separate it in terms of trying to compare an apple to an apple. Right now, you're comparing an apple to a banana. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, until you dig into a portfolio with a set of the lens that we have, you're not going to really understand. For example, now we've seen hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different portfolios, and every single time, 100% of the time, the client is completely unaware of the total amount of fees that they're paying, and it's typically double, sometimes triple what they think they're paying.
Yeah. So how are you compensated then in your practice? Is it a commission-based or is it a fee-based model? What is your practice? How is it compensated?
Well, fee only, and I'm glad you brought that up because that's part of the confusion. In the brokerage world in Wall Street, they've created this term called fee-based. Right. Well, we're a fee-based advisor. Okay. Well, what that means is, we can charge you a fee and we're going to receive commissions. Well, that's the brokerage model. Well, when you typically see with an RIA is they're fee only, and that's what you want to do business with, in our opinion. Folks who are only charging a fee and receive no commissions or any other forms of compensation. And at least speaking on behalf of Seabridge, that's what our compensation is. We only receive one fee and one fee only.
Is it an annual fee, a monthly fee, or how does that work?
It's an annual fee, typically paid monthly.
Typically paid monthly. Mm-hmm. Okay, so how are you advising clients today? For consumers out there listening, the stock market's up and down. Where are you advising your clients to put money in today?
Well, our advice never changes based on the ebbs and flows of the market. Our entire strategy is around risk tolerance, right? We build appropriate portfolios based on an individual or a 401k plan's tolerance for risk. So once you have their tolerance of risk dialed on, whether they're aggressive or conservative or balanced, then you can asset allocate those investments properly, diversify them, keep the costs low, and then as markets ebb and flow, you don't do it. You relax. Mm-hmm. You stay disciplined to your strategy, and have an opportunity to rebalance every now and again. But you don't start doing what most people do, is sell when things are going down and buy when things are going up.
I've never understood that behavior. Why is it always headlines when the stock market is down 500-600 points? I don't. It doesn't bother me at all because the next day it's up again. why is that stuff always making headlines? Unless I'm cashing out that day, I'm not really too worried about it.
Well, it's a great point. It's human behavior because it sells. It's fantastic news. It's something it's a headline grabber. Well, unfortunately, the media perpetuates that, and then you have this kind of this chase toward, okay, I got to do something, and then fear, and then the next thing you know, you have panic, and that's what happened in the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, but I don't think the typical consumer really needs to worry the stock market unless it's down 5,000. I don't really think it's.
They should never even watch the financial news networks. Don't listen to your friends at the gym or your whoever thinks that they know what's going to happen. Just if you have a good plan, it's diversified according to your risk tolerance, keep it in place, don't do anything, rebalance when necessary, and let the panic and the nonsense go to the
those
others.
headlines to me are geared towards the day traders, the guys that are doing this day in and day
That's right.
out, and whose profits are derived from the daily fluctuations of the market. But to the average consumer, that's not news to us. I don't know why they put that out there.
Trading and reacting to market moves is not an investment strategy. Investment strategy should be a long-term endeavor, and that should not change by the ebbs and flows of the market.
Yeah, I just never understand it. Every time it's down more than a couple hundred points, it's a breaking news story. It's like,
It
why?
shouldn't be, but
Why?
it is.
And
That'll
then
never change, by the way.
And it confuses consumers because they think, well, it's a breaking news story. I've got to be concerned about this.
Or I got to do something about it.
I got to do something. You're right.
And they shouldn't.
I know. It drives me crazy, but that's just one area of the news that drives me crazy.
Yep.
But I got to take a quick break. Currently talk with Matt DiGennaro, founder and CEO of Seabridge Wealth Management. Learn more about him and his company, Seabridge.net. You're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business. Have you considered a reverse mortgage as part of your retirement financial plan? For homeowners age 62 or older, a reverse mortgage from Access Reverse Mortgage is a safe, economical way to turn your home's equity into cash or monthly income. Access Reverse Mortgage is a family-owned company based right here in the Tampa Bay area for the past 10 years. They are A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau and Florida's leading reverse mortgage provider. Call 727-347-0305 or go to accessreverse.com to start your research today. NMLS number 4566. That's 727-347-0305.
Are you looking for a local real estate firm that knows the market and has your interests in mind? Then contact Jim McPeak at McPeak Real Estate Firm, a family-owned business whose agents have over 60-plus years of experience in the Tampa Bay market. Many of the agents are military veterans that know the VA process for buying a home and are proud to help our military members in any way they can. From residential to commercial real estate, McPeak Real Estate Firm is here to help. Contact Jim at 813-495-3875 and learn more at McPeakTeam.com.
Help promote the entrepreneurial spirit that drives the American economy. Tune in weekdays at 8 a.m. on 1250 Wins WHNZ to That Business Show with Jamie Maloney, where he promotes what is right with our community and highlights the successes of our entrepreneurs. Show contributor openings also available. You can learn more about the show and how to become part of this growing network at TampaBayRadio.com. Tune in weekdays at 8 a.m. to That Business Show with Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business.
Tampa Bay weather is a roof killer. That's why when getting your roof done, you want it done right. Hi, I'm Jamie Maloney of That Business Show. When considering a new roof or repair, talk to Westfall Roofing. They've been installing high-quality roofs in Tampa Bay for over 25 years. Get a free, no-obligation estimate by calling 855-99-ROOFING. That's 855-99-ROOFING. Find out what already 15,000 satisfied customers already know. Call now, 855-99-ROOFING.
Are you in need of new flooring or ready to tackle that home remodeling project? Then contact Yeager & Company Incorporated, a family-owned, state-certified general contracting business with over 70 years of experience and the recipient of the Angie's List Super Service Award for the last 8 years in multiple categories. Yeager & Company comes to you with their shop-at-home flooring sales service, and their hardwood flooring refinishing is the very best in the Bay. Kitchen and bath design featuring American-made, well-born cabinets, and all work is done by employees, not subcontractors. Learn more at YeagerFlooring.com.
From the Bright House Networks Traffic Center.
Very slow traffic in Hudson along southbound US 19 due to emergency road construction at Little Road. The right and center lanes are blocked there. Farther to the south, there was a crash at Curlew in US 19. That now out of your way. Over in Tampa, still some slow traffic off the Howard Franklin Bridge. And also through downtown Tampa on southbound 275. See traffic problems, call the injury firm of Abrahamson and Utica Hillsborough Traffic Tip Line, 866-545-9595.
This report is brought to you by the Extragen Temporal Scanner Thermometer. The Extragen Temporal Scanner Thermometer is the perfect option for a busy parent to take temperature without fuss or stress. A gentle forehead scan is all you need. The Extragen Temporal Scanner Thermometer. Pick one up at Walmart or other fine retailers today.
Today, partly cloudy with a 20% chance of showers and storms, high 91. Tonight, partly cloudy, low 78. Tomorrow, a 40% rain chance, high 90.
You're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Maloney on 1250 Wins WHNZ. Once again, here's your host, Jamie Maloney.
Welcome back, everybody, to That Business Show with Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business. Again, weekday mornings at 8 a.m. here on 1250 WHNZ. Learn more about the show, TampaBayRadio.com. Currently talk with Matt DiGennaro, founder and CEO of Seabridge Wealth Management. Learn more about him and his company, Seabridge.net. And Matt, I'm over at your website here, again, Seabridge.net, and I see you sell the point of the power of three on your homepage. Tell me about this. What is the power of three?
It's really our major brand that we kind of rebranded our delivery to the marketplace to really encapsulate the three items that are necessary for an optimal investment portfolio. First, it's using a fiduciary advisor, as we've talked about, someone who is objective and it's working on your best interest with all fees and conflicts of interest disclosed, if any, conflicts of interest. So that's one. The second thing is to eliminate these excessive fees that have been replete throughout the industry for the last 30, 40, 50 years. And we have ways that we do that. One of the ways is we use typically these large low-cost index funds like Vanguard and DFA and others, and ETFs. I don't know if your previous guests have talked about exchange-traded funds, but they're a way to get a low-cost access to a broad class of a broad segment of asset classes or sub-asset classes. So keep costs low. And then the third element, really, which is as important, is to have experts build those portfolios in an optimal way, specifically with the proper asset allocation. Now, asset allocation is a fancy term that essentially means it's not what you buy in your investment portfolio, it's what you buy in relation to the other things that you buy. Well, if you have your asset allocation correctly, or even if you don't have it correctly, that explains almost 100% of the volatility of returns of any investment portfolio. Whether you're the Central Bank of Kuwait or whether it's your personal IRA. It's not what you buy, it's what you buy with everything else in your portfolio that determines its success over time and its risk. So having people that are experts that understand how to manage that risk and dial that risk down for those who are conservative and dial that risk up appropriately if you're more aggressive, it's critical. And most brokers and frankly most advisors do not have that skill set. And we'd put our investment team up against anyone in the country because we feel we have a better way of doing it.
Now, in terms of money management, you have active fund managers and then you have indexing and stuff. So tell me about the difference between active fund managers and indexing, and also your philosophy with regard to this type of money, or which type of money management you prefer.
In short, active managers try to outperform the market. They try to beat the market by making predictions. Which stock or bond or commodity or real estate fund is going to outperform based on how they manage money. Unfortunately, as we've talked about 70, 80, sometimes 90% of the time, active managers and actively managed mutual funds do not outperform their index net of fees. Well, we feel that the data strongly points to indexing, which is essentially managing money where we seek to mimic the markets and the indexes and the asset classes and the sub-asset classes, not try to beat them, because we know that 80, 90% of the time, if we can match and mimic those indexes, we're going to outperform the active managers net of fees.
Okay, so the indexing is where you're practiced and caters to, so to speak. What about investment products outside of the traditional stocks and bonds and retirements and I guess I should say wills and trusts and all the other different aspects of financial planning, real estate for that matter? Do you step outside of the box and advise your clients on that as well? Tell me about some of the other services that you may offer with Seabridge Wealth.
Well, the service is the same, but as we build investment portfolios, we do incorporate some of the things that you've mentioned. For example, in your area, real estate. Well, we feel that real estate should be in everyone's portfolio in some capacity, whether it's a little bit or a lot, depending upon your tolerance for risk. Well, we don't go buy the real estate. What we do is we access that market through REITs, real estate investment trusts, which are typically actively traded on the open market. Well, we're not going to buy specific REITs, a hospital REIT or a shopping center REIT. What we're going to do is buy broadly based REITs, global REITs that are properly diversified to increase liquidity to help protect our
REITs became popular in the early 2000s, with the high demand for housing. How are REITs, real estate investment trusts, performing these days? Are they still a pretty popular tool? Have they kind of waned in popularity? What's going on with REITs?
No, they're very popular. It's just, recently they haven't had a good run, like many other things in the markets in the last 5, 6, 7 months. But for the 2 years before that, they were one of the top performing asset classes. But the key here is not to try to pick which one is going to do better from one year or the next. It's to try to asset allocate, generally speaking, so that you capture all of them. Because no one can pick which asset class is going to outperform from one quarter, 1 month, 1 year, 1 decade to the next. So we buy them all, and we diversify them properly so everybody gets a little piece of everything.
When you bring on new clients, or just in your experience as a investment advisor, what mistakes are consumers making out there with their financial planning that you have to kind of teach them when they come to you? I mean, where can people be better consumers with regard to financial planning out there when they're younger or middle age or whatever the case may be?
The biggest problem, and I hate to say it this way, is themselves, right? They think they know what is going to happen based on what's happened in the past. Perfect example, the last 2 years, the number one country performance-wise from a stock market perspective has been the United States and the developed markets. Well, that's not going to sustain itself. Matter of fact, this year we'll probably be in the bottom third. Well, many investors and folks in 401k plans, what have they done with the run-up in U.S. stocks the last 2 or 3 years? They've loaded their portfolios with U.S. stocks and equities and U.S. mutual funds with equities in them, thinking that outperformance is going to continue when it's not, and we can show mathematically over time that it's just unsustainable. And they're exposing themselves to a great deal of risk by doing that, in addition to not harnessing the very, very good returns that are available to them overseas in other markets, developed markets, emerging markets, and they're foregoing those returns because they're home country focused. We call it home country bias, where they fill their portfolio with only U.S. investments.
Okay, what's a good area of the market right now? You talk about emerging markets, domestic markets, real estate investment trusts. I mean, you talked about indexing as your preferred way of money management. But where are some areas that you're excited in financial planning, or I guess in investments, tech stocks, things like that? I mean, where are you excited about what's going on with stocks?
Remember, we work really hard not to pick any one particular sector of the market. For example, you just mentioned tech stocks or real estate. We will never overemphasize or underemphasize any particular market segment, because we can show you that if we do that, over time we're going to lose. The idea is to get all of these market segments in one portfolio in the right percentage according to one's risk tolerance. So we're not going to, as they say, chase the hot dot. Right. We're not going to try to predict that tech stocks are going to outperform this year, or consumer goods, or hospital. We don't do that. We buy the entire market.
Yeah. Well, got about a minute left here, but let's finish up again. Talk to me about, how, again, your experience and your skill set from a registered investment advisor, which is what you are, differs, again, from a financial planner, which is, if people are tuning in late, we distinguished that early on in the conversation, that you're not a traditional broker. You're a fee-based, right? Fee-only based practice where people come to you and they're in a fiduciary role. But again, tell us about how you differ from the traditional brokers out there.
Well, again, we don't focus on the individual broker, because they're just part of the brokerage industry. And generally speaking, the industry is part of the problem, because they've built a system that has inherent within how they distribute their products a lot of conflicts of interest within those portfolios, and a lot of excessive fees that are quite frankly hidden unless you know where to go find them. And the difference between the brokerage world and the registered investment advisory world is ours is fully transparent. It's fully disclosed. There's no hidden. I like to say we have agendas, but they're not hidden. Right. They're fully disclosed and it's fully transparent. My experience on Wall Street at some of the highest levels is that's typically not the case in the brokerage world. There's a tremendous lack of transparency.
No, great discussion, and as always, I learned a lot. Again, Matt DiGennaro, founder and CEO of Seabridge Wealth Management. Matt, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And again, you learn more about him and his company over at seabridge.net. Also, thanks to Jane Rakestraw, CEO of Kona Ice. She was on the first segment. Learn more about her and her company at kona-ice.com. Well, I hope everybody has a great day, and be sure to tune in tomorrow morning again at 8 a.m. to That Business Show. And please check out the website, tampabayradio.com, for more information. You've been listening to That Business Show. Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business.